So Jhin just got released on stream, and I wanted to have a fresh and first-time reaction, so I missed all of it. I'm going to look at the trailer that I saw on YouTube, and then we're going to look at all the cards one by one, and I'm going to give my opinion on them. All right, here we go. I am so hyped. Wow. All right, he looks awesome.
Our world's ugliness into sharp relief. Senseless brutality only inspires sophomoric performers.
I thought he had a different voice actor. Sounds the same.
For purpose, for a muse.
Oh, is that Annie?
But cruelty as a medium demands nuance.
Oh my god. I'm getting shivers.
And only a true visionary can wield it.
Wait, who is this? Oh, okay, this was actually like a trailer. I was expecting this to be like the Jhin reveal. Wow. What an amazing trailer. That actually gave me goosebumps. Alright, I am going to switch to my tavern. And we're just gonna look at the cards one by one. It might be a bit of a mess to search them one by one, because I think they're revealed all over the place. So I'm gonna do my best, and I will see you guys there when I find all of them. Alright, so the first card, of course, is Jhin. And Jhin is a 4-mana 4/4 Runeterra champion, Origin the Virtuoso. That's pretty interesting that they have like the origin text. I guess that means that he is one of the regions. His attack skill is deal 2 to all stunned enemies. You've played 12 plus fast spells, slow spells, or skills to level him up. Jhin Yasuo? Alright, there's already some stun support, so of course, with his background looking kind of pink and all, I'm assuming he might be pretty good with Ionia maybe? And then the Virtuoso Jhin is if a Jhin started in your deck for every 3 fast spells, slow spells, or skills you play while you behold Jhin, play Lotus Trap. You may put any follower that has a skill into your deck during deck building. Okay, so that's his deck building restriction. That makes him the second region. And Lotus Trap is a skill, deal 1 to the enemy Nexus. If Jhin is in play, stun the weakest enemy. Okay, so that does actually kind of look like Yasuo support. After 3 spells, that kind of means that the 4th thing that you play is going to be Jin's big 4. And that only happens when you behold him, and then you play the Lotus Trap. The first thing that I have to say from also watching that trainer is that Annie is also kind of about her 4th ability being a stun. So that would make sense that there is a Jhin Annie deck. Okay, when Jhin levels up, 4 mana, 4. he's still a 4/4. Of course he's still a 4/4. Attack, deal 4 to all stunned enemies and the enemy Nexus. And he has quick attack. Alright, that's the fact that that does 4 damage to the enemy Nexus, and the fact that Jhin himself can stun, and the fact that he levels in deck makes me say that Jhin is going to be a pretty damn powerful unit. That is definitely a unit you want to build a deck around. I am super excited just from watching this to build Jhin decks, because this is so unique. That whole trailer was so incredibly well done. The voice lines, I was a little bit worried about, but Jhin sounds awesome. And honestly, this entire event is kind of just like all built around Jhin. So I can't imagine that they made a card with this much text and this much ability actually bad. So I bet that this will feel really smooth and really awesome to play. All right, and the next card is The Maker. 3 mana 3/2 from Ionia. Play recall a unit with less power than me. That's pretty darn good actually, because we have a spell from Battle City that recalls any unit with 3 or less power. This is just that card, but as a minion. And as we know, a spell effect that is on a minion is just going to be very good. This, I hate this, because this is really good. It does put something on the stack, so you have to buff your units to counterplay this, or you can use a troll chant to reduce the attack on this. That would be the one downside over something like a spell. But this seems like a really cool card. Or well, I say cool, but I actually mean very frustrating card to play against. Because, you know, Ionia, anti-fun. This is going to be a powerful card for 3 mana, for sure, with such a powerful effect. And then we have the Harbinger of Thralls. 2 mana 2/2 from Freljord. Play, summon a frozen thrall, or advance all your frozen thralls 1 round. Wow. Wait, that is an incredibly cool card. I feel like this might actually be very good in Thralls too, because right now Thralls can summon a Frozen Thrall on turn 1 or turn 3 with Lysandra, and with this card you can also do that on turn 2, but it's not a dead card in the late game because you can actually advance all your other Frozen Thralls by 1. That's just really good. It kind of smoothens out the curve too, if you're looking for a Thrall at least. Seems really, really good, and I would actually expect a card like this to see a lot of play if Thralls ends up being a good deck. This would fit right in there. New Thrall lists will definitely have a Harbinger of Thralls. Kinku's Call is a 4-mana spell from Ionia. Summon a Keeper of Masks now or at next round start. Draw 1. Now or at next round start. So for 4 mana, you are summoning a 2/3 that buffs your entire board by 1 attack. I think for 4 mana, that's going to be a little bit too expensive, but this text is really, really interesting. Now or at next round start. If this kind of effect is on a different type of card that maybe does something that isn't just completely overcost, this might actually be very good. Because it gives you so much flexibility and it lets you set up an open attack, right? Like, I could imagine Ionia doing some degenerate elusive deck. They set up a board full of elusives on their defending turn. They play this card. On the next turn, they summon a Keeper of Masks instantly, and they instantly open attack with even more power. That seems like a very powerful effect. I just think it's a little bit too expensive to pay 4 mana for 2/3. But I will say, using spell mana for a minion is always very, very good. So might be a bit of a sleeper card, but I think for just a Keeper of Mask, it's slightly too expensive. Next is Protective Brute Fodder. 8 mana from Demacia, Fury, attack, draw a unit. If it's a dragon, summon it attacking. Wow! Dragon support for Demacia. And it's about time, right? Dragons has been a pretty dead deck for a while now, and honestly, it is still one of the cooler archetypes that Demacia and Runeterra actually has. I'm very happy to see support for all their archetypes here. We see the Thrall support, now we see Dragon support. That is very, very cool. And the fact that this is on attack, and I'm assuming that the minion, kind of like a Callista effect, just appears next to you. So imagine attacking with this and just summoning like an Aurelion Soul, right? You're attacking with a 7/7 and a 10/10. That's very, very powerful if dragons don't play too many units that aren't actually dragons. Because I feel like you could still kind of screw yourself over. Demacia is not very good at drawing cards, so this, honestly, is exactly the kind of effect that that type of region and deck needs to become a little more playable. It's expensive. Generally, we have not really seen expensive cards be played a lot, so I'm not 100% sure if this deck will actually... Dragon deck will actually want to play the Protective Brute Fodder, but it is a super unique and sweet effect, and I'm gonna love experimenting with it. That's one thing, that's for sure. I'm gonna love playing older archetypes and making them even sweeter with new cards. Next is the Stagehand. That looks like Jhin support. 2 mana, 4/4. 2 mana, 4... Oh, it's ephemeral. Okay. From Ionia, play stun an enemy. That's very good. The thing is, on your defending turn, if you stun a unit, your opponent's already less likely to attack because you're probably stunning their strongest unit. But when you play a 4/4 ephemeral, that makes them even less likely to attack into it, right? With a card like this, you really want to play it kind of like an aggro card, where on a attacking turn you stun something, and then you attack with this, and opponents never want to block ephemerals, so you're gonna just deal 4 damage, and that's a decimate, you know? 4 damage is a lot. This could be, this could actually be very powerful for an ephemeral card, and I will definitely see this card seeing play in Hecarim Z decks with ephemeral support. 100%. That seems like it's very powerful in those type of decks, but those decks have generally been weak. But the Stagehand will definitely give a bit of a boost to that. Next is Revna, the Lore Keeper. When I'm summoned, grant units in your deck my stats, then draw a unit with 5+ power. What? For a 6 mana 2/2, you give your entire deck +2/+2, and you can hand buff this? Okay, I think so far, I have already found my favorite card next to Jhin. That's incredible. I love deck buff archetypes. I have experimented so much with the Hard Guard and like reviving it to buff your deck even more. This is a when I'm summoned effect too. Imagine this with Go Get It or something. Just giving your deck like +10/+10. Imagine this with a Destiny's Call. Give your deck +10/+10. For 6 mana, you're playing a 2/2, which is obviously pretty bad, but the payoff you get afterwards is pretty ridiculous. You really want to buff this card though, not just so you can give your deck bigger buffs, but also because you really don't want to play a 6 mana 2/2. This is a build around card, and I love it. I'm so ready for some hand buff love. The deck really needs it. We've seen Recall made playable, now it's time for hand buff to be made playable. And Revna might just do it. That is very awesome. Next is a Landmark. 3 mana Chamber of Renewal. From Shurima. When you summon a champion, destroy me to grant it +2/+1 and Spell Shield. Oh my god, I'm loving these cards. Wait, Imagine this with Talia. You copy this with Talia? Wait, would she proc both of them? I don't actually know how that works. I would imagine if you play Talia, you proc the first one, and then you keep the second one on board for if you play your second champion. But maybe she just destroys both and gives herself +4/+2 and spell shield. I'm not actually sure how this works, but with Ziggs, that's also pretty funny. You play a Ziggs, Ziggs gets +1/+2/1, spell shield, and pinks the Nexus for 2 if he's leveled. Super cool, and I feel like for 3 mana, that's actually pretty fair. Especially in a region like Shurima. God, this card is awesome. This is something I will also be experimenting with a lot, because it's so simple, but there are so many implications, and I love those type of cards. Definitely a feel-good card. Next is the Winding Light. 7 mana from Targon. Oh my god, the artwork on these cards are incredible. Man, the artistic Jhin is really making all of these cards look so spectacular and beautiful. I love it. Alright, Nightfall. Give other allies +2/+1 and overwhelm this round. Is this... Okay, is this a finisher for Nightfall, or is this just like a general finisher for Targon? Because I can't tell. I don't know if you really played this in Nightfall, to be honest. It's so interesting. Okay, Nightfall is a pretty aggressive deck. They're going to play cards like the Lunari Dustbringer to bring certain Nightfall cards 1 turn earlier, so this could be played on turn 6 potentially, if you have a wide board, which Nightfall is not that bad at doing. This could be very powerful. If you have a level Diana, Diana will get +2/+1, overwhelm, and will also buff herself by 2 more. That's +4 attack for Diana. Wow, okay, this card might actually be very powerful for Nightfall, but it's a 7 mana card, and you can never really be sure with expensive cards in aggressive archetypes. Looks very cool. I'm not sure if it's playable, but I will be experimenting with it, and not necessarily in a Nightfall deck. This might just be like for a Starry Scam deck, you know, the kind of deck that just fills the board with really cheap Celestials, and then just tries to finish the game with the Winding Light. Very, very cool. Okay, Captive Greyback from Noxus. Overwhelm, 2/3. Attack, I deal 3 damage to my blocker. If it's dead or gone, I deal 3 damage to the enemy Nexus instead. Oh, that's interesting. I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to interpret this. Because this is like the Talia effect, right? But the 3 damage always happens first. Would it be like the remainder of the damage goes to the Nexus? I'm not sure how this card works. But a 4 mana 2/3 is a little bit weak. The fact that it deals 3 though. What a nice card, by the way. This almost looks like a deep card, except it has like a little flower on top here. Wait, what is a Greyback? Alright, hold on. I'm gonna search this really fast. No, there's nothing called Greyback, except something from Path of Champions. It's just the Chirian Greyback, but that's with an A instead of an E for the Grey. Okay, I thought maybe this was like already a deep monster or something that was captured, but no, not quite. Now, I love this effect. It's like, it's really simple. It looks like a lot of text, but all it does is just 3 damage, and if the target is gone, 3 to the Nexus, and that's really cool. I like cards like this that have these type of implications, and I don't think this card is quite playable as a 4 mana 2/3. Removed a little bit too easily. Noxus generally not great at protecting their units, so I don't see this one making a big splash, but maybe with a Jhin deck, it's suddenly pretty good because Jhin also stuns units, so suddenly it's a lot harder to block this. What does that mean? If this deals 3... If this is not blocked, it wouldn't deal 3 to the Nexus, right? I have to see it that way? Okay, I don't think it's good enough as a 4 mana 2/3. That's all I'll say about it. Megatusk. A sea monster from Bilgewater. 4 mana 3/4. Deep. Once you're deep, heal your allies and Nexus 3. We're getting so much support for older archetypes, and look at this boy. What a goofy looking face. I love this card. This actually looks pretty good too, right? Deep really desperately wants some kind of control and some kind of healing. How many times have we asked for Maokai's Champion spell to heal the Nexus? Well, now with Megatusk, maybe we don't need to ask for that anymore. This looks like a very sweet card. I don't know how playable it is, because it is pretty weak unless you're deep. Also, I'm gonna assume that if you drop this as a card, after you've reached 15 cards, you will just heal your Nexus 3. You get a 6/7. That seems playable. I actually would think that you would play maybe 1 or 2 copies of this in your deep deck. That seems pretty solid. Nice little control tool. Looks good. Alright, Storm of Blades. 5 mana from Ionia. I'm looking at the name, I can already tell where this is going. For the rest of the game, when you Blade Dance, summon another attacking blade. Blade Dance 1. Alright, when I said they're supporting older archetypes, and I like that, this is not what I meant, okay? This is not what I wanted. I don't know how strong this is. It's a 5 mana spell, and all you're doing is summoning 1 extra blade. Blades generally are not that good, because you really need Azir to buff them up, or the Voices of the Risen or something. The most powerful thing here is that you are blade dancing. And since you are doing this effect first, where you're summoning, you say, I'm summoning extra blade, and then you blade dance one, it means you're actually blade dancing too. That's pretty good. I guess that also levels Azir and Aurelia a lot faster. Yeah, maybe it is good. Maybe it is good, because blade dance is really a champion-focused deck. So the fact that you're supporting them quite a bit with this card might actually matter. Yeah, I'm gonna say this is a playable card in Blade Dance, and I hate that. The thing is, though, it's not degenerate. It's a degenerate deck, but it's not like, hey, here's a recall and then Blade Dance 1 card, you know? The one they printed later on in Blade Dance Lifespan, that was a frustrating card. This doesn't really do anything inherently frustrating, so I'm gonna give this one a pass. I think it's okay. I think it's not gonna make Blade Dance that much better, but it's good. It's good support for that deck. 7 mana burst speed card from Piltover. Sputtering Song Spinner. Pick one of 2 new 2-cost cards to create in hand. And set its cost to 0 this round. Repeat 2 more times. Okay, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to interpret that. You look at 2 cards, you pick one. You look at 2 more cards, you pick one. You look at 2 more cards, you pick one. And you get a set of different 2-cost cards every time. That seems interesting. It's good for Pursuit of Perfection. It's good for Victor. It's good for Zoe. But 7 mana, you're basically paying 1 mana more because you're creating 3 2-cost cards, cost 0, and usually overpaying for cards that aren't necessarily good might be a little bit awkward. So I'm not sure how good this is. It looks like really fun support for my favorite champion, so this is definitely a card I will be playing around with, but I don't think this is a card you will ever have more than one of in your deck. Maybe this is just a nerf they intended to Pharaoh's Financier. That's another possibility. Have a bad card in its pool. All right, Lord Broadmane, 6 mana from Noxus, 2/4, play, deal 2 to an enemy. Your fast spells, slow spells, and skills have, when I damage a stunned or damaged enemy, kill it. Wow, okay, this looks like very fun Jhin support. This is exactly the effect that a Swain deck is all about. It's all about stunning and damaging units and then finishing them off with something like Scorched, Flock, Noxian Guillotine. And this card is basically just like, okay, you don't have to do any of those things anymore. Any spell will just kill it. You don't need your Scorched or Flocks anymore. Just damage something, stun something, I'll do the rest for you. That's pretty cool. But a 6 mana 2/4? I don't know about that one. What's funny though is that this might be a Katarina buff, because you know, Katarina is actually creating a ton of blades now. And with Lord Broadmane, those daggers will actually be lethal instead of just pinging for 1 damage. So that's pretty fun. Not necessarily a great card, because I think 6 mana is far too expensive, but with certain support tools like Katarina, it's pretty fun. It looks like a fun card to play with. Pretty cool art too. Hunting Boar, 3 mana 2/1 from Freljord, can't block, last breath, get an empty mana gem, and it can't block. Okay, so what I really like is the way ramp is done in Runeterra. It's actually very, very great compared to games like Hearthstone. Because what Runeterra does is they like to put their ramping on units instead of on spells. There are obviously good spells like Catalyst that ramp for you, but when there's a unit that can ramp, it's much easier to counter play that, because you can just challenge the stones that ramp for a ramp player. You also have the Wolf Rider, which needs to plunder first to ramp. And now this will give you an empty mana gem, but when is the Hunting Boar ever gonna die? You have to pay 3 unit mana for this. It can't block, so you can't just sacrifice it. And if you're attacking with this, you're only doing 2 damage. That's pretty awkward, honestly. This card might not die at the moment you want it to, but when it does, it's very good, because ramping from a unit as soon as turn 3 is quite good, and it's permanent ramp too. They can't take that mana gem away from you anymore once this Hunting Boar dies. Looks playable actually, and I have always wanted to play a mid-range ramp deck. What I'm also just realizing is that one of the Runeterra champions that we might get that I would not be surprised to see is Ryze. And Ryze is actually like with the crystals and the world runes, I would not be surprised to see him as a ramp champion. So maybe Hunting Boar is like early teasing for Ryze. I'm not sure. It would be pretty cool. And I will also say that if ramp is done wrong, it can get very frustrating to play against. So this card does not look like it's the type of frustrating ramp that you would have a bad time playing against. So Hunting Boar, very cool card. I think it's going to be pretty good, but only if you care about ramping in a unit-based deck. A deck like Freljord with Shadow Owls and Trundle and Trymir, probably will not care about the Hunting Boar. Blood in the Water. 5 mana slow from Bilgewater. Lurk and slow. Deal 1 to anything, then rally. Oh my, this is a big deal. Because Lurk just wants to attack as often as possible. And with this card, they have another way to do that on defending turns to get that +1. And the fact you're dealing 1 to anything might actually be pretty meaningful too. Because, well, I guess you don't care about plundering in Lurk actually, so maybe that doesn't matter. But I don't know how many games I've lost where my opponent had like 1 HP left as Lurk and they just have no burn damage to finish it. So that deal 1 to anything is already pretty nice. And then rallying to either attack, get extra procs, or to finish a game with your overall units that didn't die is huge. This card could actually make Lurk playable again, and suddenly nerfing Pike and the Dunebreaker makes a lot more sense because this card gives that deck a whole different type of spin. Now you have to worry about a rally, dude. Oh no, I like that Lurk is getting support because I'm sitting on a Pike chair, so obviously I'm a bit of a Lurk fanboy. But my god, this could cause some complaining by the community for sure. Next is Harrowing Return. Revive an ephemeral copy of the strongest dead allied follower and give enemies -1/-0 this round. And it's slow from Shadow Owls for 4 mana. Yeah, it's literally like a mini Harrowing. Okay, that's interesting. The strongest dead allied follower. It is follower, it's not champion. I'm trying to think, what kind of follower do you want to revive with this? It's a very cool effect, and I have played decks like Herald of the Magus where you just revive that a bunch of times. Maybe this is good with Citria. Oh, you want to play Matron Citria, and then after your attack with Citria, because he is ephemeral from Matron, you play the Harrowing Return. Double the stats on your board once again. Wow, that's a pretty late play though. You have to sit with this card in your hand for quite a long time. I'm not sure. Looks like a powerful card, but the fact it's limited to followers, and you really have to play followers that have a strong summon effect, might make this a bit awkward to play. This looks like it's slightly better than Callista, because you do have some flexibility and you don't need to level up the spell to actually make use of it. Maybe the fact that you give your board -1, -0 is actually just really relevant too. I'm not sure. I can't really see this card being played in current decks, but cards like these are very easy in like suddenly reviving an old archetype, right? Like maybe this is for She Who Wanders, except I don't think that works. Maybe this is for Citria, like I just said. Maybe this is just for Nightfall because of the -1, -0, and it works when Nocturne is leveled up. It's really hard to say. I would certainly expect to see this card played in a bunch of decks as like a tech choice. Maybe it's like a 1 of or a 2 of, but I can't see it beyond that. Very fun card though. All right, and those were all the cards revealed. What a spectacular release. What a fantastic way to start off the reveal season. I'm going to go back to watch the stream because I feel like I missed out a bunch. I looked at Twitter really briefly to see some of the cards so I could put them like nice and neatly on the screen, and everybody's just hyping it up. So I'm looking forward to it. The reason I didn't stream is because it was not allowed to be co-streamed. Some people like Grappler, they got access, but Riot didn't reach out to me, so I just thought I'd be nice and I just do a YouTube video instead of maybe breaking some rules. But from now on, every single day, I'm going to be live on Twitch to catch the new reveals. So if you want to hang out with me and talk about the new cards, make sure to check me out on Twitch. And with that, I'm going to find the images to put them on the screen when I upload this to YouTube. I hope you enjoyed the video because I'm saying this and you've already seen the video. And who knows, maybe we'll talk on Twitch. So I hope to see you there. Have a spectacular reveal season, and I'll see you all very soon.